Alright, let's look at short answers and how to write them. Now, what your teacher would love to see is pretty simple. We want a well-structured paragraph or two that answers the question and is 200 to 300 words, 300 is best. Don't think that if we've asked you to do short answers that doing an essay will somehow be better. All it shows us is that you didn't really understand the question, and that's not a good thing to do in an exam. Now, you have choices, and here are two. I should really stress at this point, if your teacher's taught you a different structure, that doesn't make it wrong, it's just different. But we're just going to look at two options today. We're going to be looking at the one paragraph version, and we're going to be looking at a two paragraph version. So when we look at the one paragraph structure we're looking at today, it's really simple. It moves from a topic sentence that acts as your thesis statement, directly answering the question. This is followed by a series of examples and explanations from the text supporting your answers. And then you tie back to the question to end your answer. I personally also like my students to put a further explanation of your thesis or needed context under the topic sentence, but you can still do well without this if you embedded the information in your explanations. And don't forget your meta language. Now there's a two paragraph structure we're going to look at today. It's pretty similar. You start with a single thesis statement that directly answers the question. Then you go to a paragraph that's a topic sentence on one aspect of language or idea, which then has a series of examples and explanations from the text illustrating your point, and you tie back to the question. And you transition to a second paragraph, which is a topic sentence on another aspect of language or idea. Again, this is followed by a series of examples and explanations from the text illustrating your point, and the paragraph concludes with a tie back to the question. Now this is also a good idea to use two paragraphs when you're doing a comparison between two texts. Just remember to make sure that your language reflects that you are actually comparing them. So looking at language and connecting points inside or between your paragraphs, it's a good idea to get a collection of words together that say that something is similar, or that it's adding on to another point, or even that you're contrasting them. You should get these words under your belt and a few more like them, just so that it's easy when you're writing, that you're not sitting there thinking about what you want to say. You want to say, okay, this is different. So, I might use the word however, or although, or in contrast. Or I might want to be saying that this is the same, and I say this is further emphasized, or this can also be seen similarly. Just get some of these words under your belt and it'll make life much easier for you. Now don't end things here. Start thinking about ways in which you can do even better when you're doing your short answers. How can you increase your score? Well, obviously you can practice and get your meta language under control, get the structure under control, but don't forget to go back to the course outline and see what sort of things you're likely to be asked. If you know that context was a large part of the course, then you might want to think about the kinds of texts and where they came from and where our focuses were. You might want to look at language you could use for that. Perhaps we were looking at construction and feature articles or speeches or narratives. Learn the meta language for that, what it is, how they work, and how the techniques work and what the correct terms for them are. And then you'll find that you're much more easily to write quickly in examined and timed situations. So good luck!